4 years. 4 years I have waited for a new, proper projectile DPS to be released, and we've finally gotten them, and I absolutely love it. So without further ado, I welcome you all to an Irish review of Venture.
Hi!
Dang.
I can dig that. 6 feet under!
I think they really have stepped it up over the past while. It's like part of this big update where they're adding like trial chambers and dungeons, you know?
That would be, you know.
And really quickly before we start, Venture's pronouns are they, them. They are non-binary, so help me God if you refer to them using the wrong ones in the comment section, I will turn yours into was were. There is a difference between making an honest mistake while speaking in real time versus having the time to comment out something and being an arse because you choose not to use the right words. So we may as well start with our introductions, and Venture is an absolute monarch of a DPS. Many are describing them as a redo of the old DPS Doomfist, but honestly I think that's more of an insult than anything because they're way more fun than old DPS Doomfist was. Yes, I am just biased though. They're a mid to close range, movement based type character, so really I should have just waited a little while before I made my last video, but sure look, we're grand. But now for their actual kit, let's look at their passive, although Venture actually has 2 passives, so let's start off with the first one. Using abilities grants Venture shields, which you're absolutely going to need considering how close range you're going to be the vast majority of the time. Unlike any variant of Doomfist, these shields actually have a cap, so you can't go further than 325 max HP when you normally have 250 base HP. I like this difference that they have because it makes them a lot more fun to play because you don't need to worry about hitting too many enemies, but also makes them way less frustrating to deal with because they haven't just gone half their health bar in shields and now you can't do anything to them. Their second passive is that their melee does 70 damage, but lasts a little bit longer. Now this isn't just an instant burst of 70 damage like a regular melee would be a regular burst of 30 damage. It does an initial burst of damage, and then it has several ticks that lead up to that 70. One thing to keep in mind is that you cannot interrupt the animation of this unless you cancel it with either an ability or your ultimate. If you use your melee and you're in a position where you're not really going to be hitting anyone with it, you are going to be a sitting duck if you have no abilities to quickly cancel it with. I really like these 2 passives. They're not overwhelming to play against when you're dealing with a Venture on the enemy team, but when you're playing as Venture, they're just so smooth and they feel seamless in your kit. Moving into their primary fire, think Sigma but with lower range and a lower explosion radius. This just feels smooth, and as your resident projectile DPS player, I have no complaints. Sure, sometimes the range feels a little bit too small, but it'd be broken if it had more range, let's be real. The damage is great, but only if you land your directs, which isn't hard considering the range you'll be playing in, but with any projectile you do need to get used to the speed and all that. Their shift, Burrow, is simultaneously amazing, but also a little bit wonky at times. You take about half a second to get underground, which could be interrupted by things like Hog Hook, or even your own Lifeweaver grip, which has gotten me killed several times already. But once you're underground, you're immune to literally everything. You cleanse yourself, and you can't be healed unless it's something like a Lucio or a Zen. But who cares, this thing is amazing. Like I said, when you're in the ground, you're just invincible for 5 seconds. You can move around in this state and charge up and leap out of the ground, doing a pretty good chunk of damage if they're close to you when fully charged, and it also displaces them just a little bit. I also love how stupid it looks when you jump off a high ground while digging. It's just like they do a dolphin dive back into the dirt. Also, a nice quality of life thing is that this does reload your gun, so you can always keep that in mind. This ability is by far the most divisive in their kit. Some people will probably hate it, but others like myself love this thing. But I will say, the animation to actually start digging is jarring as hell. I wish it was a little faster, but more on that a little bit later. Their E, Drill Dash, is my favourite ability in their whole kit. You can use this for anything. Damage, it does plenty. Need high ground? Easy. Just want some passive shields? Why not? Want to be a speed effector on the ground? You can use it while burrowed. It'll also have half the cooldown compared to normal, so something I like to do is burrow and dash immediately so you unburrow with max shields and your drill back off cooldown, so you still have an escape or kill tool. Something to mention is that this thing has a bit of a hit stun, and what I mean by that is if you run into someone, they'll be booped in the direction you're going, so you'll keep landing hits, but how far you dash will get lowered immensely. So you can't use this like a Genji dash to get out and kill someone at the same time. It's either an escape or a way to kill, unless they're low enough that your first impact will kill them, then you just straight up dig a hole straight through their chest and use that as your way out. So keep your HP thresholds in mind. Also, if you remember Ball's double boop tech, Venture can actually do the same, only it's way easier since you just need to spasm your mouse while underground and you'll send them flying. And finally, their ultimate Tectonic shock. Think of this like Rhine Shatter, except it's just a boop instead of a stun, and there's 4 of them. You can 2-shot 250 HP characters, you're still able to use all your abilities, which is by far my favorite part of it. So if you're against someone like Mei, you can hit them with 2 shots, then drill for the kill. It can also only be used on the ground, but at the same time, if you're in the air when you use it, you'll get sent back down to the ground even faster. It does get blocked by things like shields, so please, tank players, don't be like this Sigma, who left a gap in his shield that let me kill his entire team. And a nice detail is that using it will fully max out your shields, so make sure you don't go layering your abilities too quickly. It's not a broken ultimate or anything, but it's high damage and fits into combos well, so it's all I could really ask for. Overall, I absolutely love Venture. They're super fun and there's not really much wrong with them out of the gate, which is a lovely breath of fresh air compared to the last few months of character releases we've been getting, really. Now, there are a few changes that I would like to see, but they're more along the lines of quality of life rather than hardcore changes here and there. The first one is that their drill animation is really slow. What I mean by this is when you first drill, when I was talking about that 0.5 to a second that it takes you to go in, that's way too slow because you're still fully vulnerable during that time. I have died so many times just from trying to dig so I could get away, only for, bullets end up reaching me. I wish it was just a little bit faster, or even make Venture invulnerable when you're going for it. However, maybe that would be a little too broken, or maybe you could keep it so they don't take damage but they can be CC'd out of it. I'm not really too sure, but at the very least, I'd like to see the animation get sped up a bit because it does feel a little bit clunky, at least compared to the rest of their kit. Now, along with that, I really don't think that their hitbox actually matches their HP pool. I know Zenyatta players have been saying stuff like this for years and they've gotten plenty of things to help kind of compromise for that, but what I'm all about is like, when I look at Venture, there have been several times where I've seen their silhouette, whether that's from something like a Hondo arrow or just seeing them off in the distance, and I thought it was actually Mei. They have a very similar hitbox to Mei, and Mei has 300 HP, not 250. Now obviously, Venture does end up getting more HP than Mei, 325 once you get your shields and all that, so maybe I just need to wait a bit to get more used to them, maybe I'm overreacting or whatever the hell, but I do think that they're at least just a little misleading when it comes to their hitbox size versus their actual HP pool. I wouldn't say to increase it to the exact same as Mei if I were to change it, maybe a 25 HP difference would be nice, but also for all I know that could make them incredibly difficult to kill, so that might not be the play, we'll only just have to see. And there we have it. Venture, to me, is like a return to form to Overwatch 1. They're super fun to play, they're not really too frustrating to play against, unless you just don't like getting drilled, although I feel like a lot of you would really like to get drilled by them, but that's besides the point at the moment. Their gameplay is smooth and fluid. It doesn't matter if we're talking about just the raw movement or if we're talking about combat, whatever it is, they just feel amazing, and I think I finally have a new main, which is all I could ask for in a new projectile DPS. But tell me yourselves, what do you think of Venture? Do you think they actually need some nerfs? Do you think they're actually fine as is? Do you think there's any quality of life changes that could be done to them like how I was saying earlier? Let me know anyway. And sure, look, if you're still here, drop a like, comment, blah blah blah. All the YouTube stuff, and I'll talk to you next time, lads.